everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to make this cute little pilgrim hat. It's the perfect little item for decorating your Thanksgiving table or maybe making an arrangement. They're also fun for photo props. Put them on your cat or your dog. They measure about 4 inches tall, so they're nice and little. And they just are super duper cute. And so I wanted to show you how to make one. Now this is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. Working with black yarn on film is extremely difficult. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use this gray in place of the black so that you can see the stitches. It'll still be a cute hat for a pilgrim hat. It'll just be in gray. You can make yours in black. I just want you to be able to see the stitches. I'm going to be using this gold for the buckle and this white, it's kind of an off-white here, for the white stripe on the hat. Now these are all medium weight number 4 worsted weight acrylic yarns, and you can use any medium weight number 4 yarn that you want for this project. You can even use a cotton or a cotton blend, and it's a great idea if you just have some leftovers to make them using up your leftover yarns. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle for weaving in ends and sewing on your buckle, and of course you're going to need a pair of scissors. We're going to start with the top of the hat and work down, then we'll make that little white stripe, and then we'll make the brim or the bill of the hat. We'll begin with our slip knot and we'll chain 4. The first 3 chains will count as our first double crochet. Then we're going to stitch 7 more in the 4th chain from the hook. Yarn over, go in that 4th chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the second 2 loops. So now we have 2. Our chain 3 counts as our first. We're doing 7 more, so we have a total of 8. Alright, that should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to join to the chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Alright, now what we're going to do next is we're going to turn this over. I'm going to take my needle and thread that tail of yarn on my needle, and we're going to go ahead and close up that hole. Now sometimes you'll get a big hole, sometimes you'll get a small hole. It just depends. It does different ways with me, but I do like to go ahead and close up the hole in the beginning. Then I don't have to worry about it later. So I'm just going around those stitches. I'm going to gently pull on that, make sure that's all weaved in, by going back the other way. Clip that off, and that end is already taken care of. I don't have to worry about coming back and weaving that in. For row 2, we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of those. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so we'll stitch another double crochet right in the same stitch as our chain 3. And then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in each of those double crochets around. And so for row 2, we'll have 16 double crochets. Row 1 we had 8. We're placing 2 double crochets in each of those double crochets, and so we'll have 16 double crochets, and I'll continue working around and join to my chain 3. I've stitched 2 double crochets in each of those 8 around, so now I have 16 double crochets. I join to the top of my chain 3 and chain 3. Now for row 3, we're going to stitch another double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And so the repeat for row 3 will be 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next. 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in the next. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around, and join to the chain 3 like we did on the previous row. 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next, repeat, working all the way around, and then joining to our first chain 3. For row 3, you should have 24 double crochets, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 all the way around, joined to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3. Now for row 4, we're going to begin forming the sides of our little hat. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around. There we go. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, and then we'll join back to that chain 3. And you should see the side of your hat starting to form, because the top is going to be a little bit flat, and then we'll form the sides of our hat. So I'm just going to continue on around, stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, and then I'll join to the top of my chain 3. I completed that row of stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. I joined to the chain 3 and chained 3. And so what we're going to do for the next 3 rows is stitch 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join, and chain 3. So we'll be repeating row 4 3 more times. I repeated row 4 3 more times. That brings us up to row 7. And what we're going to do now is we join to the top of that chain 3, but we're not going to chain 3. So we're going to bring our white yarn in, leaving our gray yarn attached, because we're just going to make 1 row of the white for the hat band. We'll chain 3, and we'll stitch 1 double crochet in each of the stitches around, just like we did for these previous rows. The only difference is we're doing it in the white color for our hat band. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, using our white yarn for our hat band. We'll continue on around and join back to the top of our chain 3. I stitched that row of white. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off because we only needed that 1 row of white. And we'll weave those in a little later. I'm going to bring my gray back out. Make sure everything's snug down. Do our chain 3. So we're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. We're going to place 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then our repeat for this row will be 2 double crochets in the next, and 1 double crochet in the next. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around, and you'll notice that the brim of your hat will start to flare out. So 2 double crochets in the next double crochet, and 1 double crochet in the next. And so we'll continue to do the repeat of 2 double crochets in the next double crochet, and 1 double crochet in the next, all the way around, and join back to our chain 3. So there's my hat band, stitching 2 and 1, 2 and 1 all the way around, and now we're going to do the last row. Now I joined to the top of my chain 3 and I only chained 1, and that's because our last row is all single crochets. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and then in the next stitch we're going to stitch 2 single crochets. And that's the repeat for our last row. 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 single crochets in the next. And this is going to help our hat band flare out and have a nice edge on it that holds its shape. 1, 2, 3 single crochets, 1 in each of the next 3, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and repeat. 1, 2, 3, and 2 in the next. And again, we'll repeat this all the way around till we get back over where we started at our first single crochet, and then we'll tie off. I'll show you how to shape it a little bit, and then we'll add that buckle. I've completed that row of single crochet, stitching 3 and then 2 in the next all the way around. I went ahead and cut my yarn, and the way we want to tie off is once you've joined to your first single crochet, go in the next, underneath the next 2 loops there of the stitch, and pull that loop through to the inside. And that's just going to give you just a little bit cleaner and nicer edge there on the edge of your hat. Now I do have a few ends I need to take a minute and weave those in, but before I do that, you might notice on your hat that it's pooching up just a little on the top. Alright, so what you can do is you can just push it down just a little, just like that, and it makes a nice flat top for your hat. Alright, now if you're going to use this as a decoration and you're worried that it's not going to hold its shape, you can take some polyester fiber fill and put that inside. Another thing that works really well is to take the end of a sock or a pair of pantyhose, like the toe, stuff it with a little bit of polyfill, and tie a knot. And then you can slide that up inside so that it holds its shape if you're going to use this as a decoration. And that's something that I do. I just grab a wad of polyester fiber fill and I stuff it up inside so that it stays and holds its shape. Although it does hold its shape pretty well. Alright, I'm going to take a second and weave these ends in, and then I'm going to show you how to make and add the buckle to your hat. To make the buckle, you're going to need to chain 13 chains. So here's my slip knot, and I'm going to chain 13 chains. All right, there's my 13 chains. Now we're going to begin stitching a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then we'll chain a single crochet in the next chain. Then in the third chain, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Then we'll stitch 1 single crochet in the next 2, 1, 2. Then we'll stitch 2 single crochets in the next, 1 and 2. And I think you can see that it's starting to form a square. All right, so 1 single crochet in the next 2, 1, 2, and then 2 single crochets in the next, 1 and 2. 1 single crochet in the next 2, and then we're going to end with that last chain stitching 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Now, before we tie off our yarn, we want to make sure we have enough so that we can sew this onto our hat. And so I pulled out about 12 to 18 inches. We're going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch, and then we're going to go in the next one. There we go. Pull that loop to the back of the buckle. There we go. And tie off to the back. Now, the next thing I want you to do is this beginning tail. We're going to put that onto our needle, and we're just going to make sure it's joined over with a couple of stitches. And then we'll go ahead and weave that in and tie that off. Alright, so now we have a buckle that has 4 corners and 4 sides, like a little square. Alright, now take your hat, make sure you know where your back is and where your front is. Alright, and we're going to place the buckle right on the middle of one area of our white stripe. How far up or how far over is totally up to you. Now we're going to thread this on, and I sew this buckle a little bit different than I sew a lot of my other appliques. Alright, I'm going to take it and turn it this way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down in, make sure you go through a stitch so that you don't lose your stitches in the holes. Alright, and then the next thing I'm going to do is go down, but I'm going to go right up in that hole where my first corner is. And I'm going to make that stitch go out. Alright, then I'm going to come up, trying to keep my buckle straight, and I'll go down, then I'll go in that next hole. And I'm doing this so that it makes the buckle lay flat. Okay, so I'll go down, because we want those 4 corners to lay flat and to keep its shape. And you may have to shape it a little like that. I have a little bit of yarn left, so I'm just going to go back around on the inside row of my buckle. Just using up my leftover yarn that I cut. And that's why I always say it's better to have a little too much than to have too short of a tail of yarn. Alright, I think my buckle's on there good. I'm going to go to the back and go ahead and just weave that in. And you know, I always say go through some stitches and some fibers of the yarn and go back over where you went, right in those same stitches that you just made, and clip that off. And now your pilgrim hat is all ready to use for decoration for fall and Thanksgiving. I will tell you, if you prefer, You can use a gold button. You can also purchase a buckle, and I have purchased some over in the scrapbooking department as well as over by the buttons. You can find some little silver and gold little buckles that fit on here just perfectly. So that's some other options if you don't want to sew or crochet a buckle. So here are the two little pilgrim hats. Here's the black one that I had already made and I've used many times, and then the gray one for the demonstration. I think they're both super cute, and both, whether you decide to make it in gray or black, make great decorations for fall and Thanksgiving.